All right, everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about standard RF5, which is writing equations from mixed given information. Our objective today is that we will be able to write the equation of a line, whether you are given a table, a graph, or an equation. So we're going to kind of do something a little different today, and we're going to change the information that you are used to receiving, and we're going to alternate and flip that around and twist it up a little bit for you. So, probably this would probably be the most similar thing to what you would actually see on your test that'll be happening later this week. So for our first one, if you are given a table, so here in this problem we can see that we've been given a table right off the bat, and we're being asked to graph it, to find the slope and the y-intercept, and also to write the equation, and then also to talk about what kind of slope does it have. So looking at this first problem here, a couple different ways you can approach this. One of the ways you can approach this is to start by simply just graphing the points. So if you were to graph the points, remember your x moves you left and right, and your y moves you up and down. So -2, -3 gives us a point right here. -1 means start at 0, go 1 left and down 1. We get a point right here. 0, 1 means don't go anywhere left or right, just go up 1. And finally, we get to 1, 3, which means go 1 to the right and 1, 2, 3 up. Once you have all your points, then you can draw a nice straight line. Remember, you should be using a straight edge to do so. And you got your line. You're 1/3 of the way done right now. Now, the next part of this asks us to identify our slope. In order to identify our slope, what I would recommend is going over to your graph and simply just choosing 2 points. If you choose these 2 points, for example, when you do this, you should always start at the point on the left. And then you should always go up first or down and then right to your other one. So we went right 1 and up 2. So we know that we can rewrite our slope as up 2 over 1, which is equal to just 2. Now, another way you could have found your slope, and it's important to remember this, is by talking about the change in y over the change in x. And the way that that worked is by picking a starting point and an ending point. So if this is my start and this is my end, we can find the slope by simply looking at how much the y changes and how much the x changes. So our y started at -3 and it ended at +1, so we know we went up 2. And similarly, if our x started at -2 and it ended at -1, we also know it went up 1. So our change in y would be 2, and our change in x would be 1, and we can see that we get the same slope happening in this problem. That's just important to realize. It doesn't matter how you find your slope, but you need to realize how you can get that from a table. Now, for your b value, remember your b value is just your y-intercept, so it is where your line crosses the y-axis. So here's the y-axis, here's our line, and here is where it looks like they cross. Right there we see that we have a y value of 1, so I can say that my b value is strictly 1. Now from there we're asked to write our equation. Our equation is y equals mx plus b. Again, our m is going to go right there, our b is going to go right there, so I will get y is equal to 2x plus 1, and we're done. Last part about this, it says what kind of slope does the graph have. To figure out your slope, again, a couple different ways. You can just look at your graph. If you start on the left and you go uphill, you know it will have a positive slope, which is the correct answer. The other way you can see it excuse me, is actually by looking at our slope that we found over here, and since this is a +2, we do know it also is positive. So it's important. You got kind of 2 ways to check and make sure you're doing this correctly. Okay, looking at our next one. So this one is if you are given information from an equation. So here's the equation we've been given. Of course, at this point, we should realize that this -3 is our slope, so we can write -3 right up here. And if we are adding a 2 at the end, we know that that is our b value. So we do actually have a point that we can come over here. We know that we're going to have a spot right there at +2. And then since we know that our slope is -3, that's the same as -3 over 1. then what we are allowed to do is actually to work down 3 and to the right 1 using that slope. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1 gives us a point right here. And if we repeat that process, down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, we get another point right here. Nice straight line. And there you have it. We've graphed this now. Now to finish the problem, we just need to complete the table. So to complete the table, again, we can just list off some of the points we are seeing. So if I start at my very far left point here, or maybe let's not even do that. Let's go try to stretch this graph here further. So I know that if I'm going down 3 every time and to the right 1, the opposite would be if I went up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then left 1. So just trying to think about where I would have another point so I can fill out my table completely here. It looks like I would have another point at -1, +4. And then it looks like we had our original starting point at 0, 2. Then at 1, -1, we had another point. And finally, our last point was way down here at 2, -4. We had another point. Now again, just to identify what kind of slope this has, if we start at the left and we work to the right, we are definitely going downhill here, which means we have negative slope, and we should be able to see that when we look at the slope over here. Again, we do see that that was negative, so we are good to go. Third type of problem is looking at this one right here. Now in this situation, we are being given a graph. So looking at this one's actually kind of a unique graph we should pay attention to. One of the things we maybe can notice right away is that our graph is going up by a scale of 2 each time, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we do want to pay attention to that a little bit as we go. Now, first trying to identify where our y-intercept is, if I look right there, it looks like we're passing right through where -3 would be. So -3 must really be our b value. So we can come write that over here, easy enough. Looking at the next part of this, we need to identify our slope. So just like you would before, regardless of the scale of your graph, as long as you just find 2 points and realize that I'm just going up 1 and to the right 2, up 1, right 2, that will count as your slope, up 1, right 2. So our slope is really 1/2. Now, that is true whether you are going up by 2 each time or whether you are going up by 1. You can still use that trick. Now, at that point, we can write our equation. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus 3. Again, your table are just or points that your line hits. So I'm going to make sure that I have 4 of them so I can complete the table. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we just got to give those coordinates. So it looks like we have -6, -6, -2, -4, 2, -2, and 6, 0. So again, I was just paying really special attention to making sure that I was matching it up to where these went and not just counting the boxes because of how we were going up by that factor of 2. Now, finally, we're just being asked to say, okay, well, given this graph, what kind of slope does it have? If I start at the left, I'm going uphill, which means we have a positive slope that we are dealing with right here. All right, moving on from there, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to end the video right here because I want you to sit there and go through and practice this. I will put up an optional second video of just me working through these problems, but I'm really hoping that you don't need that video because you're getting pretty good at this and ready for the test. But if you do, I want to make sure you still have that. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Have a good day.